Well, do you want to have your vice president run the meeting, vice chair?
I would love that.
Okay. On the request of our chair, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order of October 16th, 2024. We do have a quorum with JR joining us via electronic device, and we'll make this as quick as possible. So
We're good.
yeah, we have no public comment, so we're going to move right into the administrative reports. John has laid out the minutes, the 3 sets of financials, and the enrollment numbers. Everybody's had a chance to review those. This time of year, no surprises. Things look really nice.
Awesome.
I would, unless people want to get into it specifically, I'd entertain a motion for any or all of that.
I was not here for this meeting, so you don't come.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion to approve.
all right.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a first and a second for all of the administrative reports, including the September 8th minutes, the enclosure attached there, financials of enclosures 2, 3, and 4, and the enrollment numbers of number 5. Now, a first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously. Going into old business, there is none listed. Does our director have anything to add under old?
No.
I did question, sorry to sidetrack, I was curious about enrollment numbers and how it related to the breakdown of GED kids.
Yes.
or
So
our
I
numbers.
looked that up. So our GED program is capped at 10% of our kids, so 12 kids. Of those 12, we have 7 are Fern Ridge School District kids, 3 from Bethel, 1 from 4J, and 1 from Junction City. We have 2 currently on our waiting list, 1 from Fern Ridge and 1 from Bethel,
Pretty similar to the breakdown of our.
overall enrollment. Yep.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Moving on to new business. Do you have anything
It's pretty quiet. So
quiet that we, quiet this time
we
of year?
like quiet.
Perfect.
Yes, and then we'll just move right into your director's report submitted in the packet.
So I am working frantically to get all of our state reporting done. One major report is due the end of October with our progress markers for the integrated guidance. That is done and been submitted. And then the overall year-end deflection is due the end of November. And so working with staff, kind of reflecting on our goals, how we think we did, where we wanted to focus more on the second year. So it's a 2-year plan. We've already set the plan. We're just starting the second year of it. So working on that. We did our monthly fire drill. Tomorrow is our
Great American Shakeout.
Great American Shakeout. So we are signed up and we'll do that at 10:17 on 10:17.
I'm glad to hear you guys participate.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shove those kids under those desks. Enrollment numbers, so we just sort of talked about this, are up. They're good. GED program is full. Wait list is 2 people, so not huge. We've had 1 student complete the GED program already. He worked through a good portion of it last year and just sort of finished up this fall, so that was a positive. Talked a lot in our staff meeting today again about engagement and just how to keep kids engaged and making progress, and that is always a work in progress. And end of our first 6-week session is Friday, so we have, I don't know, we'll see what our numbers are. We have some kids working frantically to finish up in time, so hopefully they do, and then we will start our new session.
But the overall 2+2 program.
Yeah,
It's going great.
It is going great, and I think definitely effective for kids. One thing that isn't on the report, but as
2.2, 2+2,
2 by 6.
2 by 6.
2 by 6. So we do 2 courses for 6 weeks, and that gets them their 6 classes in the semester. that they just focus on 2 at a time rather than 6 at a time. And we found a lot more completion. They were a lot better able to manage their time when they're just looking at 2 classes at a time versus 6. It was just a lot. Some of our kids who are real credit deficient and really motivated, we will add a 3rd to help them. I mean, we would not hold them back. If they finish sooner than the 6 weeks, we automatically start another class so that they don't have downtime. And then one thing that came up today in our staff meeting, which isn't surprising, but just kind of something we have to keep in mind, is 35% of our current enrollment, our 86 kids, is either on an IEP or 504. And that is huge. It is a lot of work and time consuming, and our SPED teacher is incredible. Staff really jumps in to help her and support her. The part-time IA that we hired last year has been crucial. Like that was a good move, and I'm glad we did it because she was trained and ready and able to jump in this year and help and support. So.
Is it something where if you needed her to go full time, could she go?
She could, yeah. And I talk to Nicole regularly about that. If she feels like she at ever any time needs more help, then we would look at that for sure. That is the director's report.
Okay. Well, thank you. So we had the review of the bylaws on last month's agenda. Shauna distributed those out. I don't know if people really had a chance or with a skinny quorum today. If you want to go through them, or people want to turn to their comments, and
It's totally up to you. They're your bylaws that we spent all year last year creating. And so if you want to make changes, or part one of the things in the bylaws is they would be reviewed annually. So.
right. Yeah. So well, I hate to kick the can down too much. Did the other 2 board members here have a chance to look at them at all?
I skimmed them. I wouldn't say it was a real in-depth reading, but I did look at them.
I just had 3 or 4 kind of quasi comments that, should I just jump into it and we'll see how far we get here? We'll not drag this on, okay? So under page 2, 4.3.1, we now have 6 directors, not 5 at the bottom there. So that would have to be updated. 4.3.1,
Okay.
that last line. And I don't think we've talked about this, and I don't know.
So I have a question about that because it says at the time of the adoption of these bylaws, the board is determined to have 5 directors. And so we said that we adopted them 5/17 of 23. Are we re-adopting them and changing that to 6, or?
Well, when you say we review them every year, wouldn't that imply that if there's necessary updates, it's a readoption?
I don't know, maybe. Okay.
So if 6 is what reflects where we currently
Okay.
gone down this road, then we should take a look at that. And I don't know if this comes up, but on page 3, 4.4.2, it says that each director has a 2-year term. Do we know who's rolling on and who's rolling off, and where we're at with that 2-year rotation?
We don't, because there's no waiting list. So we've just rolled people until they wanted to leave, or if there was somebody wanting to come on and full, then we would look at that.
Okay.
Because I think you're at 2, JR's at 2. You just started this year.
Just started back.
Back, and Jackie just started, and you just started. Robbie would be also 2.
Yeah, it just seems like that if people are thinking about just finishing their term and then wanting to step off, it would be kind of nice to know where we're at. That's written down someplace.
We can keep track.
Yeah, it'd be easy enough to look back at past
Yeah.
board meeting minutes too and figure that out.
And then as we talked about earlier, the first reference to either an assistant secretary or assistant treasurer is on page 4, right at 2, and it talks about the written resignation to the secretary or assistant secretary. So it just does seem like that if we're going to keep those two identified officers in our bylaws, that at some point we should actually have an appointment for them.
So then I would think, I don't know that Shauna and I can be directors. So it would have to be someone else that was the assistant.
I don't know. I think you can be. You don't have a capacity to vote,
Right.
but it's kind of rolls into an administrative assistant secretary and administrative. I guess either we take it out or we make some level of appointments. If those aren't going to be actual positions, we should just pull them out of the bylaws.
So what do you guys want to do?
I know that you're the secretary,
Thank you,
but Shauna does 99.9% of that work.
Absolutely.
And likewise, the treasurer probably doesn't do any of that, depending on how we want to turn those over to staff.
Which I am fine with if that's what you guys want to do.
Oh, I don't know if we need the clarification, but it seems like, I mean, when I was the city manager, I was the how did that work?
I also wonder if we had a resignation, would we just at that time appoint someone to take their place? You see what I mean? Do you have to?
Yeah, because if we can't vote, we couldn't be in that position from an assistant moved into a director position.
Right, so really what it comes down to is there was language later about the secretary. So I'm going to jump all the way over to page 8, 5.6. The secretary may designate the duties to the assistant secretaries as set forth in section 5.0 provided. However, the secretaries oversee such delegation. And so Stacy is the secretary, is designated to Shauna, the minutes are prepared and drafted.
Or well, no. I was wondering, is Shauna the secretary and the treasurer, and then the directors are the assistants? But no,
Yeah,
because you have to be
Then
able
you-
to vote.
yeah. That's the roles of officers.
It's a question, if you want, that we could ask the attorney how that should typically work.
Yeah, why not? They're doing that stuff.
He's very responsive and great to talk to, so I can bring that back next month.
Yeah, so the first one is under that on page 4, 4.5.2, and that this reference to the assistant secretary. And then just one on page 5, under all the ORS listings, just under F. I think the ORS is supposed to be listed first and then just be consistent with the rest of them. See that under?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's got, everything's good on 6, everything's good on 7. So here's the one that comes, so chair of the board. Are you listening, JR?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The chair shall be the principal executive officer of the organization. I think that's language right out of your job description. You are chief executive officer of this organization. All the JR is who gets to knock the gavel and call a meeting to order and help you do whatever, but you think about what normally falls under the principal executive officer of the organization. That's the executive director.
I'm gonna ask the attorney that one too.
Let's see where that normally falls to the chair. And then 5.6 also at the bottom there has reference to the assistant secretary. On page 9, 5.7, the treasurer. This is the first reference to the assistant treasurer. And then there's a whole section here about assistant officers. The board may create assistant officers, may appoint people to fill such assistant officers, including employees of the organization.
So we can be.
Yeah.
Says it right there.
And I think for this very thing,
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's not a question I need to ask because it says it right there.
but the one about the
Yes.
chair, the
Mm-hmm.
principal executive officer,
I think so.
that's a little executive director. It just seemed like a very weak paragraph, and especially if we're pulling out that language from the chair, maybe that same language needs to come over to your section. But
Okay.
it basically said the executive director shall attend all meetings of the board unless excused, and doesn't really go into much more about what else.
Mhm.
But we give you a lot on your table, on your plate. So 7.1 on page 11, financial statements. So it's financial statements, but is that section really about our audit? At the close of each taxable year, the board shall engage a certified public accountant to prepare financial statements for the organizations as specified by the board. And it's the end of the year is the audit.
Mhm.
And those aren't financial statements, those are an audit of our existing records and financial statements. So I just found that language kind of odd.
Mhm.
And I think that there's sometimes that licensed auditing firms are not necessarily CPAs either. So there's a couple questions I have.
Okay.
I mean, the firm that we use now, Acuity, they are CPAs,
Mhm.
but they specialize in audits and
Right.
they do an awesome jobs. Sorry to be so nitpicky here, down
No,
on
you're good.
the bottom of page 11, under financial reporting, annually, there's a 2-year cash flow forecast. And I don't think we've ever done that, and if it's not required, we should just go ahead and pull it out. By months.
Yeah, we just do. I mean, we do the annual based on the biennium, but
This says a 2-year cash flow forecast, so it's not a budget, it's a
Right.
cash flow. And this is gonna really getting picky. On 12, under subsection 3, there in the upper part, review of ODE. I think that's the first time we've used the Oregon Department of Education in the whole bylaw, so it should be spelled
Spelled
out
out.
for the first time. Check drafts, so on page 13, remember what I wrote. All checks, drafts, and other orders for payments of money, notice of evidence, so shall be signed by such officers or representatives of the organization in such manner shall from time to time be determined by resolution of the board. So when we have a new chair, vice chair, and signees, that's the only time we do a resolution, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So I think that was done when JR came on. As long as we're not changing who's signing each other. Well,
Well, and JR doesn't sign checks.
No,
so, but did we do it for Sean? So who's,
Yes, we did
So-
it for Shauna, and we have to do that for the bank to allow us to put somebody else on there. We have to take the meeting minutes to the bank.
so we did that last spring.
Mhm.
And all checks have to be dual signed by 2 people.
So it's Shauna, I, and Andrea as a backup in case one of us isn't here.
I always thought that one of the board members have been listed for a long time.
Not since I've been here. And I'm not sure before that.
That's him meeting on page 14 under amendments to bylaws. The bylaws amended to be adopted by a majority of the directors present at any regular meeting or special meeting. The notice given to directors for the meeting must also state the purpose or one of the purposes of the meeting is to consider a proposed amendment to the bylaws. So I guess when we go to actually adopt, it needs to be called out as adopted.
Adopting. So next month, I can come back with the clarification from the attorney. Would you want to review again then after that and adopt the following month?
I don't know, since we got such a skating quorum this time, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Okay. So we won't adopt next month, we'll review again with that new information.
And then this is just a kind of reminder to Sean at the bottom of that paragraph is that the adopted bylaws, the copy that is considered to the school district.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right, if there's no other questions about the bylaws, we'll hear about the Lane Career Academy and the Hope Factory CTE, which was very exciting to read.
Yeah,
Cool.
so this really came to our attention this year. We didn't have any kids that were ready for the start of this in September. But I wanted to put it on the board's radar is if as we work through this year, and we're really looking for kids, it's a $3,000 cost investment. Is that something the board would be interested in covering for a student if we had one? And I don't want you to vote on it. It's not that. It's just keep that in mind. If we find that we have a student, I would bring that back and say, hey, we have a kid interested. We do get donations from like Kiwanis and different things. It's something as a school I would very much support helping a student with because we just have so few and it's such a great opportunity. Not sure that we will, but I just wanted you all to have the information ahead of time and just be thinking on it and maybe other ideas of ways of funding that if it came about. We don't have anybody currently, so it's more
$3,000 per
informational.
student.
Yeah, and I think it's a limit of 2 that you could do, so it's never going to be huge, but it's a cost, and so.
Well, if some students grabbed a hold of it, went all the way through it, but.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I talked to one of the young men from Meyer who's in it right now, and he loves it. And said it's the coolest thing ever. Like
That's
he's just getting
awesome.
so many skills, and when he comes out, he can go to work immediately if he chooses to.
So yeah, at the first sign of a student interested, I would bring that back so that we would talk about it, because I would not want to get a kid's hopes up and then say, no, there's no funding for that. We can't help you and you're on your own. So
I just don't see where the board would say no to that. Such a great opportunity.
it's so exciting. And we talked a lot with the ESD who is helping spearhead this all. It's just so cool. So we are.
So how do we make sure that our kids are fully aware that this opportunity is available to them and or even kids that are considering coming over here when they want to take advantage of that?
I don't know about kids considering. For kids in our program, the counselor talks to them all individually and parents and reaches out and shares all of these different opportunities.
And it starts right in September, right?
Right in
As soon as school
September,
starts,
yeah. And so when, I know it was around last year, we were not aware of it.
Yeah.
And so by the time we heard about it, kids have to have some background
Yeah.
before entering. And we weren't there, but that's okay. We can be there next year.
Yeah.
And I do think we have kids that would be interested and really benefit from it.
Should we call that out in a proposed budget? So there's a line item to pay for up to 2 kids?
We could, yeah, we can talk about that as we budget for next year, and then it's there
It's there.
just in case.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Yeah,
And then if you have kids ready to go, then it's just done.
yeah, I like that idea. And if we don't spend it, we don't, but then
Right.
it's in there.
No, it's like a remarkable program. All right, any other, Shauna, we didn't hear anything from you, you got anything else for us?
No, the financials are all pretty normal. The audit, the only thing for the audit payment, that's like half of what we'll end up paying. So just so you're aware, they send you like a bill partway through, and then they'll bill us again in a couple of months for the remaining. I think we spent $9,000 or $10,000 last year on the audit, and we've paid $5,000 now, so.
And we should have the audit by next meeting, is that what?
That's what Sarah
Sarah
said, and
said,
Sarah will
yeah.
come to that meeting. So she said we'll get it on the agenda for next month.
So they're getting real close to done with it, which is great.
Yeah, we can fill those financials pretty quick, they all look pretty solid.
Yeah, no, a lot of them's pretty routine.
We did just order 10 more Chromebooks. We have,
We ordered a total of 20 this year. We had 8 that are dead that were in the locker that we went through, and
It's after about 3 years.
yeah,
Yeah,
some
so
of
they're
our
pretty old.
older ones. We learned a hard lesson during COVID. We got that ESSER money and ordered 50 Chromebooks with it because we knew we'd need them, and then they sat. And so they kind of lost a year of life just sitting. So we're real careful now to not order them until we need them,
Yep.
so that we get every minute out of them.
we bought 10 last month or the month before, and all 10 went out the door. I literally was down to 0 when I got the next order in of 10, so.
So why do they go dead? So that you can't replace the battery, you can't
They're not worth replacing the battery. They're so,
Designed to be
obsolete?
kept up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I would be surprised if you get 5, but 3 I think is kind of where.
some of them were getting 5, but 3 is
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
average.
we've got a couple older ones that are out right now. There was a couple of newer ones that died. One won't even turn on.
Yeah, they
Can't
won't turn
figure
on,
out
they
what's
won't
wrong
take a
with it. We had a
charge.
kid that was using it for a month, and then it just, she brought it in. She's like, it just won't turn on. And we tried charging it. We tried all these things, and it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So it just
We've
happens.
talked about in the past, trying to recover some of these that are still out. How many of those were kind of at the end of their life cycle anyway?
A few,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a few. So,
We've got
and I think we got all but 5 back at the end of last year. The ones we really struggle are the kids that just leave mid-year and they're just gone, and those are the ones we have a harder time getting back.
We send a bill or an invoice with their, like the 10-day drop kits. We send that information
Sure.
out, and then we do remind emails, and we call and we email parents, and
Luckily, they're fairly inexpensive, but it's, yeah,
still
it's a rough cost of doing business. We also, when kids enroll, we always remind them, if you have a computer from another school, please take it back to them. Like, trying to help out other schools too.
All right, before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman, do you have any comments?
No, sir, I am good. Sorry.
You're
I missed
okay, you're
the
okay.
meeting tonight.
I'm glad you could join us. and
Yes,
Good
thank
luck
you.
with the pump house and the water situation. And
Yeah, it's been a day.
all right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Staff, appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, JR, take care. What was that Robbie's